Hi there, Frank Thacker here, and welcome to the Daily Peacemaker. True story. It's a true story. I heard it from a friend, so it's once removed, as you might say. But um, so this friend of mine, Joe, let's call him Joe, he's a golfer, and he plays with a group once a week. There's 5 guys, usually 4 just show up. And he was telling me last week when they played, they had all 5 showed up, or they knew that. And so no big deal. You call, you get a tee time, 2 tee times. First group is 2 guys, they go off, and then the next group is the 3, so everybody gets to play. So they show up at the golf course, and the clubhouse manager says, "Look, guys, fine, go out 2 and 3. Please do not join up anywhere along the course. You don't want to play 5 golfers at the same time." And that's a pretty standard thing for you non-golfers. 4 is usually the max, because if you get 5, then it really slows things up. So they go off, 2, and then the next 3 go off. And around, I don't know, 5th or 6th hole, they end up all on the same tee. Because the threesome had caught up with the twosome, because the twosome was waiting to tee. There was some people in front of them. So they played like 6, 7, 8, and 9 as a fivesome. No big deal. It wasn't a busy day at the course. It was not the greatest weather. There was no one behind them. They weren't slowing anybody up. They came off the 9th green, and for non-golfers, usually when you come off the 9th green, the clubhouse, and then you go to the 10th, they call it the front 9, the back 9. So most courses, the 9th hole ends at the clubhouse, then you swing around and go to the 10th hole to play the back 9. So they come off the 9th green. Clubhouse manager comes running out, starts screaming at them, like really irate. "What are you guys doing? I told you not to play as a fivesome. I'm going to get in trouble. You're going to mess everything up. I can't trust you guys," on and on and on, right in there one guy's face. And this one guy from the group starts to yell back at him, "Well, why don't you be quiet? We didn't hold anybody up." They get really intense. All of a sudden, the clubhouse manager, boom, hits the guy. The clubhouse manager is like 65, in the early 60s. Of course, the other guy, Joe's friend, hits the guy back. They get into a big wrestling match. Boom, boom, boom. Long story to end. I don't know all the ins and outs, but the local police got involved. Both guys got charged with assault. And I think that happened on the same day before, maybe the day after, that I had read in the paper, where a neighbor, I think it was down in Florida, a neighbor was annoyed that this other neighbor's cat kept coming into his yard. And I don't know if they've had the discussions before or anything, but on this particular day, the one neighbor that's all irate because the cat's coming in his yard goes over to his neighbor, happens to bring his gun, probably thinking, I'm going to shoot that cat. And apparently the 2 neighbors get into a confrontation, and the guy shoots him and kills him because his cat was going in his yard, So anger is what we're going to talk about. And it seems, well, in this country, the US of A, anger seems to be the prominent emotion that you read about all the time. And actually, anger is not a bad thing. What is happening is not only is anger allowed to be expressed now in our culture, more so than before, but expressed in a violent way. So it's almost like there's this cloud over the country of, not only is it okay to be angry, but you can actually do something violent with that and, just get rid of what's ever bothering you. So the point I want to make is anger is not in itself a bad thing. Excuse me for a minute. What I find helpful is to look at anger as an energy. And the key issue is, what are you going to do with that energy? Are you going to use that energy to help you do something constructive? Or are you going to let that anger use you to do something destructive? Let me say that again. Anger, it's an energy. It's like a, electrical energy. It's a power, it's a source within you, which you can use to do something good, or you can let it overpower you and use you to do something destructive. So when you look at anger and you look at how people, say like Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi, the woman that found man, they were all angry. Well, I want to say angry people. They had a lot of anger about things, situations, experiences that they have had, situations they were in. And they took that anger, that energy, to do something good. So you say, yeah, okay, great. They're these great, wonderful, powerful people that, were well grounded and used the anger to do something good. But what about ordinary people like you and I, daily peacemakers? What can we do with our anger? And again and again and again, anger is not a bad thing. It is simply an energy. That's all it is. It's not a good energy. It's not a bad energy. It's an energy. And I wonder if there is such a thing as good and bad energy. I think it's more tight. How are you going to use that energy? You take electricity. You can use it to light up rooms and do cooks, use on stoves and all that stuff. You can use it to put someone in a chair and electrocute them, So energy, how are you going to use it? So ordinary people like you and I, how are we going to use our energy, our anger? And again, that's pretty much up to us. We can use it in a very positive way to do some good, or we can use it to do something destructive. And I think, or I believe, the first thing in dealing with our anger is to be able to acknowledge it, to tune in that we are angry. And if you look at the words we use, we're upset, we're annoyed, we're irked, we're disappointed. Even disappointment has some anger in it. Annoyed, I might have said that, angry, I'm so angry, I could, rage-filled. There's just a ton of words that we use to talk about how we feel. And again, that feeling is an energy within us. So the first thing is to be able to get a hold of that within yourself, to acknowledge it. And then you begin to look, okay, what am I going to do? Another key point, I believe, is that this energy, this anger, can build up within us. It's like a bucket of energy, and it gets fuller and fuller. And if we're not aware of it, it will explode. And in most cases, when it explodes, it ends up using us to do something violent, whether it's to, like this clubhouse manager, where for whatever reasons he was so irate in his anger, who knows all the stuff that went on before that. But he just exploded, boom, and did something destructive. So it's good to be able to discharge that energy on a regular basis. And how do you do that? There's myriads of ways to do that. Talking to a friend is a real good one. Telling them how you feel about this or that. You can, we used to have a therapy practice, and one of the things, not uncommon, but, how do you get rid of your anger? You can beat up on a pillow, you can get in your car and drive and scream. And I don't know if any of you remember, there was, and there may still be a therapy, a primal scream, where you would discharge uncomfortable or feelings that you felt uncomfortable with by screaming, the primal scream. Um, so tune into your anger, be able to discharge it so it doesn't build up and blow things up. And then, if you're angry about something particular in your individual life, I don't know, say the environment, you're annoyed by how people are destroying the environment and, not composting, or the real simple things. It doesn't have to be a grandiose thing. Then join a group that's into protecting the environment. Makes me think of a story. Excuse me. I don't know, many years ago, when I was going for a master's, we used to drive with a friend of mine, and we'd alternate. We were in the same program, so one week he would drive, then the next week I would drive, and a little embarrassing, but he was driving, and we're on our way up there, and I had a candy bar, I think. It wasn't a cigarette because I don't smoke, but I had a candy bar. Took the wrapper off, chewing on it, and then this is embarrassing. I took the wrapper and threw it out the window. No, this was 20, 40 years ago maybe. So anyway, not that that makes a whole lot of difference, but just asking for some understanding here. Anyway, he pulls over the side of the road, and he gives me a lecture, a well-deserved lecture. He said, "You do that one more time in my car, you're not riding with me anymore." And that simple thing, he was annoyed, and don't blame him, but that simple action really woke me up. Oh, I know that's a bad word sometimes with some people, be woke. Made me realize, oh, wow, Frank, you got some work to do here on how you treat the environment. So even those simple everyday things where you're annoyed with something, you can turn that into something good. He didn't stop the car and say, "Get out of here, you jerk. I never want to see you again," and those types of things. He just stopped. He wasn't like irate, angry in his voice. He says, "Listen, if you do that one more time in my car, you're not riding in with me anymore." So anger, again, it's an energy. You can use it to do something good. Very simple, even everyday things, or you can let it use you and to cause you to do something destructive. So that's the main thing to remember, I think, is that anger is an energy, pure and simple. Then the next step would be aware of your anger. Tune in to what's that energy that's within you. Be able to discharge it on a regular basis. Working out is another way, of doing it. Any type of physical activity is good. Those things we mentioned before, talking to a friend, screaming, beating up on a pillow, those types. You might want to do some of those in private, because if you're walking down Main Street screaming because you're angry and just going, "Ah!" People might begin to wonder a little bit about what's going on with that guy. But probably I don't want to say the most important, but one of the best things you can do is to take that energy and do something good. And that's anybody, all of us daily peacemakers can do something good with our anger. So keep that in mind. And I think that, anger is like all of our emotions, is very complex and very deep. And there's a lot of um, things under the anger, I believe anyway. Why does this get me angry, but that doesn't? And why does this that gets me angry doesn't get someone else angry? So there's a lot of deeper issues around the whole aspect of energy. And maybe at some point we can look at those because, as we all know, anger is a real powerful emotion. And so the more we can use that energy, that powerful, powerful source within us to do something constructive is important. So I guess enough about that for now. If I get moved to maybe explore anger on a little deeper issue, I will. So thank you for being with us. As always, um, I was going to say compliments, comments. I guess I could say compliments too. Um, Comments, questions, feedback, anything is always appreciated. Visit us at the dailypeacemaker.com. And I guess it just popped into my head, and I don't have time to do that, but how to take anger and put it in the context of nonviolence. That's a good thing because if you go back in some of our sessions, we talk about the Kingian steps and principles of nonviolence, and that might be a good idea to take a couple of examples of anger, someone being angry, and how to keep that within that framework of the steps and principles of nonviolence. All right, so good to be with you, and I think I did remember to find a little indigenous prayer or saying or that type of thing to end. So this is a real, or I found it real interesting, Apache. I guess it's a saying. I guess it it is better to have less thunder in the mouth and more lightning in the hand. It is better to have less thunder in the mouth and more lightning in the hand. So that would be interesting to reflect on because how it's tied, or it can be tied to anger, and what is that saying to us? So, all right, enough. Good to be with you as always, and hope to hear from you and talk to you all soon, hopefully. And you take care. Peace.